In 2013, a group of cybercriminals began a sophisticated hacking campaign targeting financial institutions around the world. This group was known as Carbanak, and their operation would ultimately result in one of the largest cyber heists in history, stealing over $1 billion from banks across 30 countries. The origins of Carbanak can be traced back to Eastern Europe, where a group of hackers began developing malware and other tools to carry out sophisticated cyber attacks. These hackers eventually formed a group that would become known as Carbanak. In 2013, Carbanak began their heist on banks in Russia, Ukraine, and other Eastern European countries. Their methods were so sophisticated and secretive that the banks had no idea what was happening until it was too late. Carbanak began by using spear-phishing emails to gain access to the bank's networks. These emails were designed to look like legitimate emails from a trusted source, such as a government agency or a bank executive. Once an unsuspecting employee clicked on the link or opened the attachment, the malware was installed, giving Carbanak access to the entire network. From there, Carbanak used a variety of techniques to remain undetected. They created fake user accounts with the same permissions as legitimate users, allowing them to move freely throughout the network. They also created custom malware that was designed to evade detection by antivirus software and other security measures. Once they had access to the bank's networks, Carbanak began to steal sensitive financial information. They were able to capture login credentials and access codes, giving them complete control over the bank's systems. They used this access to transfer money between accounts, often in small amounts to avoid detection. Despite their success, Carbanak remained careful and meticulous in their approach. They only stole small amounts of money from each account, ensuring that their actions would go unnoticed for as long as possible. They also monitored the bank's systems constantly, looking for any signs that their activities had been detected. As the heist continued, Carbanak expanded their reach beyond Eastern Europe. They targeted banks in the United States and Asia, using the same methods and techniques that had worked so well in Europe. As Carbanak's success in Europe grew, they began to expand their operations into other parts of the world, including the United States and Asia. Their methods remained the same, using spear-phishing emails and custom malware to gain access to the bank's networks. Once inside, Carbanak continued to use their sophisticated techniques to remain undetected. They created fake user accounts and used custom malware designed to evade detection by traditional security measures. In the United States, Carbanak targeted smaller banks, which they saw as easier targets. They used the same tactics as before, stealing small amounts of money from each account and moving slowly to avoid detection. In Asia, Carbanak targeted larger banks, including some of the largest financial institutions in the region. They used the same tactics as before, but on a much larger scale. The amount of money stolen from each account was still relatively small, but with so many accounts, the total amount quickly added up. Despite their success, Carbanak remained a mystery to the banks they targeted and to law enforcement agencies around the world. They operated in secret, leaving few traces of their activities behind. Their communication was done through encrypted channels, and their identities remained unknown. The fallout from Carbanak's heist was widespread and long-lasting. Banks around the world had lost millions of dollars, and the global financial system was left reeling. In the aftermath of the attacks, law enforcement agencies around the world launched investigations into the group's activities. They were able to gather evidence and track down some of the members of the group, but many remained at large, and the full extent of the group's activities remained a mystery. As the investigation continued, banks began to implement new security measures and update their systems to prevent similar attacks in the future. The attacks had highlighted the vulnerabilities of the global financial system, and the need for stronger cybersecurity measures became a top priority. Despite the improvements in security measures, the damage had already been done. The banks that had been targeted had lost millions of dollars, and their reputation had been damaged. Customers began to lose trust in the banks, and many of them moved their money to other institutions. The fallout from Carbanak's heist extended beyond just financial losses. The attacks had highlighted the dangers of cybercrime, and the need for increased cooperation between law enforcement agencies around the world became apparent. Governments began to work together to share information and coordinate their efforts to combat cybercrime. But even with these efforts, the threat of Carbanak remained. The group had operated in secret, and their methods had been so sophisticated that they had been able to evade detection for years. The fear remained that they would strike again, and the financial industry remained on high alert. The aftermath of Carbanak's heist was felt for years to come. Banks around the world continued to implement new security measures and update their systems, determined to prevent similar attacks from happening again. Law enforcement agencies around the world continued to investigate the group's activities, and over time, they were able to gather more information about the members of the group and their methods. Some members of the group were caught and brought to justice, but many remained at large, and the full extent of the group's activities remained a mystery. Despite the efforts to prevent future attacks, the threat of Carbanak remained. The group had operated in secret, and their methods had been so sophisticated that they had been able to evade detection for years. The fear remained that they would strike again, and the financial industry remained on high alert. As the years went by, rumors began to circulate about Carbanak's activities. Some claimed that the group had continued to operate in secret, using new tactics to evade detection. Others speculated that the group had disbanded, and its members had gone on to other activities. But one thing remained clear: the impact of Carbanak's heist had been profound. It had highlighted the vulnerabilities of the global financial system, and it had shown the world the dangers of cybercrime. The legacy of the group's activities continued to be felt, even years after the attacks had occurred. Today, the true extent of Carbanak's activities remains a mystery. The group had operated in secret, and their methods had been so sophisticated that they had left little evidence behind. But one thing is certain: their heist had changed the world of cybersecurity forever. It had shown the world the need for increased vigilance in the face of new threats, and it had highlighted the importance of international cooperation in the fight against cybercrime. As we wrap up our journey through the world of Carbanak, we are left with more questions than answers. The story of this mysterious cybercriminal group is one that continues to captivate and intrigue us, long after the heist itself has faded from public memory. Carbanak's activities serve as a reminder of the dangers of cybercrime, and the need for increased vigilance in the face of new threats. Their methods were so sophisticated that they were able to evade detection for years, leaving behind little evidence of their activities. But the impact of their heist was felt around the world, and it changed the way we think about cybersecurity forever. As we move forward into a world of ever-increasing technological advancement, the lessons learned from the Carbanak heist will continue to be relevant. It is up to all of us to remain vigilant and stay ahead of the cybercriminals who seek to undermine our financial systems and steal from innocent individuals and businesses.